gamers, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. This is Frosty Chris signing in to Aven Colony. Now, as you can see, this is the beginning of the game of Aven Colony, one of the most underrated sim games, the PlayStation 4 format. Now, I'd like to recognize that this is one of the better sim games of the PlayStation 4 format. Now, there aren't many, but this is one of the better ones. Most definitely, if not the best. Now, there's not a whole lot of content, not a whole lot to take advantage of, but all in all, the building of your Civ City is one of the better ones to take advantage of. You can see that I've already completed all of the campaign. Easy enough to do, still takes a few hours to complete, but nonetheless easy to do. I recommend doing it on a harder mode, even though you can see that I only have 2 stars completed on normal for all of these. I just completed it today. Was fulfilling, however, wish there was a little more to the campaign that was originally suggested. So I have all of the different areas as far as the sandbox unlocked. You can go from desert to a little bit more leafy green tropical type environments to an Arctic situation, and that's pretty much the gist of it. You get your lake type environments as far as Eden Crater and Haley's Crescent. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot. Now, each one is dependent on size. Now, this is one of my first time experiencing the sandbox. So, Sandy Gulch is one of the smaller maps. Eden Crater is definitely one of the bigger maps. When I experienced the Valley of Death, it was an enormous map. So, when I experienced Eden Crater, I was like blown away. There is so much you can do with this game. There are so many different areas that you can explore, and depending on how you adjust the settings, you can really create a substantial situation for yourself. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play on Kellery Strand, because it's one of the most easiest places. It's one of the most fertile. You can grow pretty much anything here. I will show you a brief tutorial on how to run the game right now. Now, I set everything to normal. It says Sandbox mission, build the colony as you see fit. You'll see right here. Now, I'm going to describe the hub to you real quick. When you press L2, you can go to the colony control, overlay map, and trade menu. The trade menu is not going to be available to us because we don't have any ships to commence trading. Let's go to the colony control. Now, the first thing that's going to start off is your inventory. You have 5 copper, 140 nanites, some ration packets, rice, and water to start off with. Your basic stuff. Your consumables are right here. Your ration packets and your rice. Your water is constantly consumed by your colony, because we all need water to survive, man. But these are our food. Our building materials are the nanites. And copper is just a material used to produce nanites. An excellent source of nanites, as you can see. And a somewhat valuable trade good. However, I've never used it in trade. You go over into population and morale. Our total morale is pretty good. It's not bad. Our air quality, commute, consumption, crime, crowding, entertainment is all insignificant. Nothing we can really do here. Our food is lower than average. We don't have as much food as we could be producing. Our freedom, good. I'm not hindering any of their freedoms here. I'm not making them work overtime or inhibiting them from leaving, or know, anything like that. We look at our health. Health is adequate. Nothing too low, nothing too high. Unsubstantial. Their purpose, they got a lot of purpose. They're producing a lot of energy, storage, air filtration, all of the above. However, we are a little unemployed. As you can see, 31% unemployed. Now, we gotta change that. 100% of the jobs are filled. Let's change all that right now. So I'm gonna press circle, change all that. Check out what we have right here. First, we're gonna pause the game. Now, this is what you start off with. You start off with a little colony right here. This is similar to what you're going to start off with in the campaign. When you pause the game by pressing down on the D-pad, you're going to be able to take a look at your hub below, as you can see right here. Now, you're going to see the time. Sol 1, that is our first year. Spring is in season. Now, we're going to have a referendum election in 1 Sol. That's what it says right here. That means we're going to vote to see if well, not me, you are adequate enough to raise this civilization to the peak of its existence. You need to have at least 50% of the votes. That means 50% happiness among all of your people to receive the referendum election victory. Now, as you can see, there's a little discoloration on the right of your time area. It looks like a little snowflake, a bunch of little snowflakes infesting the area. That is a winter time situation. That means your greenhouses are going to produce 50% less. Your solar panels are going to produce 50% less. And your farms are going to produce nothing in the winter time. It doesn't matter if you're in a desert, a lush environment, or an Arctic environment. Your farms produce nothing. Your solar powers produce 50%. And your greenhouses produce 50%. Now, if you take a look at your food, we are excellent in our food storage. Our food variety is low. Our food quality is good. And that's pretty much the whole situation there. We have 439 food to go around. 448 water in storage. 28 per colonist, because we only have 16 colonists. That is excellent. As far as our consumption, we are consuming 0 per hour. 16 colonists per consuming. And our production is 0 per hour. So we're consuming 0, we're producing 0. Now we're looking at our storage. 45% storage. 2,250 total storage. Because we have 4 storage modules and a Prometheus lander. That is the lander that originally starts all civilizations, whether it be campaign or sandbox. So we'll keep it paused and we'll go to our happiness. Now you can take a look at your population and look at the average population happiness, which is 70%. We have 0 unhappy colonists, 0 starving, 0 dehydrated, 0 protesters, 0 unhealthy, 0 infected. The average health is 100%, and you can tell by the rest of the block that everything is pretty much good to go. Nanites are the things that produce us buildings. These are the things that build us different objects in the game. Now we have 40 of these nanites in our inventory. We have 0 structures extracting minerals and 0 structures converting those minerals into nanites. The structures that convert minerals into nanites are going to be iron mines, copper mines, and there's this material in the game called Kilok Sludge. Not something I've ever used, nor will ever use, because iron and copper are the way to go. Now if we take a look over here, we take a look at our electricity. We have a 23 electricity demand, a 38 electricity supply, and that is from our solar panel, our Prometheus lander, and our 4 solar modules. Now that is a basic look at our hub right now. You take a look at our time, you take a look at our food, our water, our storage, our air quality, our population, and our nanites, as well as our electricity. When you press L2, you can take a look at our colony control. Now, this provides an adequate look at our inventory, our population, and what it desires and what it is fulfilling, info on the population as far as unhappy citizens, total deaths, hunger capacity, colonists sick, starving, dehydrated, and things like that. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have any of those, you are an inadequate leader. If you have any unhappy, protesting, sick, starving, dehydrated, you are an inadequate leader. Quit the game. Go to an easier level because you cannot handle the situation you are in. Now I'm going to go over here to policies and powers. These are situations that you can enact within government procedures to adequately tell your people exactly what they need to do. Now there are several different things that are going to become available as the time goes on. Some things are grayed out right now, but one thing you can automatically demand is force overtime, immigration allowed, immigration ban, job switching ban, water rationing, and food rationing. Now you can see in the description that there is benefits, there are pros and cons to all of these situations. As far as rationing is concerned, you gain food consumption as well as negative freedom morale. Water consumption as well as negative freedom morale. Negative freedom morale, negative freedom morale, and negative freedom morale, as well as 10% colony efficiency. You can take a look at each individual colonist if you prefer, as far as their morale and health is concerned. All of your buildings, as far as integrity and efficiency is concerned. Your emission settings, as far as how many cargo pods you have, the expeditious difficulty, starting resources, and all of the settings you have put as far as your sandbox. Now, this is a sandbox, guys, remember that. And now in this area, you can adjust the graph accordingly. You can put different situations as far as crime, total food, housing, storage per colonist, and all those aspects. Now, one of the other things that I'm going to recognize in this tutorial of the hub is our building menu. Now, when you first interact with the building menu by pressing R2, you're going to come to the residential structures. First thing you can build is an outpost. This is a single tier object that requires 18 nanites, 6 power to support, and supports 16 colonists. Now you can see all of that information to your left. Now you go to your habitat, tier 1, you notice in the parentheses there is a tier 2 and there's a tier 3. Now each one has its own benefits. What I recommend is automatically building tier 3, but if you cannot at the moment, always build tier 1 because there is no non-benefit to building and upgrading to to tier 2 and tier 3. Now, last but not least, there is the skyscraper, tier 1 and tier 2. Now, when you build these objects, as well as all objects that have tiers, you have to build the first tier first. If you do not have the first tier, you cannot automatically build the second, and you cannot automatically build the first. As you can see in the red, requires tier 2 habitat, requires 18 power. I do not have 18 power, but I certainly do not have the second tier of the habitat. Now we're going to exit out of that. We're going to go back to the building menu by pressing circle and go to our resource management structures. We see the mini storage depot, not the most ideal depot to build. In fact, you'll find that the only depot that I build is the storage depot tier 3. Now you have tier 1 here, tier 2, and tier 3. Recognize that it is red, not because I do not have the number of nanites to build things, not because I do not require enough power, but because I do not have a tier 2 storage depot. You have to have tier 1, then you have to have tier 2, then you have to have tier 3. That is the last time I will recognize that. That is part of the tier process in Aven Colony. Now if you take a look here, you have a mill. A mill, you'll notice, in the red requires a research center. That is because the mill cannot produce anything without the research center's involvement. You'll see you have a mill tier 1 and tier 2. A chemical plant also requires a research center. You have a chemical plant tier 1 and a chemical plant tier 2. I'll show you where the research center is right now. So we've already gone residential, we've gone resource management. Now we're going to go to those requirements in the technology structures to your left. You'll see that you have a research center tier 1. That is the requirement to build that mill that we were talking about earlier. There's also a tier 2 research center that you need the tier 1. Remember, you always need tier 1 to build tier 2. I'm going to go back to our building menu and go over to the spaceport buildings. Now check it out. The spaceport buildings is one of the most important situations that you're going to be involved with. The immigration center is crucial to building your colony. You need this immigration center to expand the population of your colony. You build this, the maximum amount of workers that can be in this is 4, as you can see. And when you have 4 workers, you can get 9 colonists per visit. So each time a shuttle touches down, you're going to get an additional 9 population. As you can see right now, I only have 16 population. That is because I'm at the very beginning of the game. Now you take a look at the immigration center. You'll also take a look at the trade hub. The trade hub is going to allow you to trade those resources that are in your storage facility. You see you have ration packs, nanites, that all those things that we went over earlier on in this game. You'll be able to trade those, as well as many other aspects and resources for other resources, as far as imports and exports. Now the expedition center is something that we're going to get along later in the game, but that is something you can build to explore other areas of the map. Not personally, but still require an expedition center as well as gain benefits. Now we're going to take a look at our electricity structures. These are things that are going to provide power to all of the things in your system. You have a wind turbine that requires no workers, but requires nanites to build, obviously, like all things do, but it generates a certain amount of power, 6 power in fact, and has no tiers. You can go to a solar panel, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The thermal generator is built on things like this. A geothermal vent. When you build these, you can build them on a geothermal vent like so. We're going to fast forward by pressing right on the D-pad to increase the speed. And it looks like our geothermal generator is good to go. However, we need to connect it with tunnels. When you build these tunnels, these are your roads in Aven Colony. So I'm going to build these to connect to this geothermal vent right here. So we're going to wait till this construction drone hub right here connects. We're going to speed it along here. We're going to see it connect. When you go to the building hub, you can see a construction drone hub, the one that I just indicated, a drone hub tier 3, a scrubber drone, and a police drone. The scrubber drone prevents against spore colony overtaking. Spore colonies will produce spores that consume your buildings and quote-unquote creep along them. The police hub produces police drones that patrol the streets and keep your people safe. Defense buildings include a plasma turret that protects against hailstorms, creep colony spores, plague colony spores, and artifact guardians that come and try to overtake your colony. Also in the defense buildings are the lightning tower that protects against the lightning that comes when it is wintertime, as it is now. As you can see, you can hear the lightning thundering and striking. You can see it even. But the first thing you need when it comes to a lightning tower is an energy battery. You need that energy battery because it is required when it comes to a lightning tower. That lightning tower is something that is going to protect your buildings and tunnels against lightning strikes. Not only that, but it is going to save all of the energy that comes from that lightning strike into your tower. You can go to your farms right here. And there's tier 1, tier 3. You can go, it starts at barley, but you can go to your broccoli by pressing R1, corn, melon, quinoa, rice, and then it goes into your non-edible plants like wheat and tari, kelcospores, gorgie, quarry spores, xenosage, and that is all. Now you can see with each one it changes as far as what is produced. You can see that a farm is going to produce 4.8 xenosage, but it is also going to produce 6.6 melons per hour, and 0 in the winter, obviously, because this is a farm. But you can move it around and see that it will produce more in certain areas than it will in others. So you see 6. We're going to try to find the most beneficial area. Like 6.8 is the acre. Oh, we found a step right here. 7 tons per hour there. So we're going to go and connect this bad boy with one of our tunnels so that we can have adequate workers to produce in this area.
We'd like you to increase the colony's
Now when you press that center button, you can see all of the missions available to you in the sandbox area. Notice there are no missions available right here, but we do have one mission. Population. Now we're going to go back to our mining. You have a mine, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Now that mine is to mine the different things like ore, potash, iron, minerals, and such. Also in your mining area, you can find nanite processors. Now those nanites are the things that are going to produce you all the different buildings required in Aven Colony. Also, I don't really mess around with it, but laser mines, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Now, they're just like mines, however, they extract 40% faster, but destroy half the minerals in the process. So, when we use those, I like to use that on the mines that not mine iron, but the mines that mine this resource, Zorium. When they mine Zorium, there's 9,500 Zorium in here. So you can definitely use a laser mine, obliterate half of that, and get it faster, because your Zorium mines, your Zorium generators right here, are going to produce so much energy that you're going to need a whole lot of Zorium. I, however, like to just do mine tier 3 and have it maximize the capacity. As you can see, there is a capacity for people who can be in these places. I'll show you that now. You fill it up, and that is the maximum amount of the can fill that. As you can see, it's operating at 80% efficiency now. If you want water, you go here to your water extraction structures. You have either a water pump or an atmospheric condenser. Usually the water pump is the way to go, but you have to find the water in the world to do that. If you want to do the extraction pump, you do not have to find the water. You go to the air filtration systems. You're going to want to build these near your geothermal generators, all of your power supplies, your mines. You're going to want to build it near there, because that air is going to be foul. When it goes to the service-related structures, this is what's going to keep your people happy. You're going to keep your people happy with enhancer dispensaries. Those are things that we will discuss later. Your bar and grill, easy peasy. This is your restaurants, your bars, your happy places to go to. You can keep them happy with your parks. This is a big investment. However, it doesn't require any workers, and it requires very little power to produce. Retail centers, you're gonna need to trade via trade hubs to get any type of retail environments. That is where you're gonna that is where you're gonna sell your hollow units, service robots, consumer goods. Those are the things you're gonna trade various resources for. There's tier 1 and tier 2 as far as that's concerned. The VR center, virtual reality center, is something you can produce for your people to get them in a type of gaming situation, kind of like we're in right now, where they're going to be able to take advantage of all the entertainment that is produced by that. There are no tiers for that. And also, service-related products require hospitals. Hospitals are something that all of your people are going to need, whether it be a hospital tier 1 or tier 2. Those are going to produce the necessary medications to combat the toxins produced by aliens, as far as spores, and also produce the nano medications that keep your people healthy while they take those enhancement drugs produced by that enhancer dispensary. Obviously, we already talked about tunnels. Technology This is where you produce that research center that is required by the mill and other things. You also have a research center tier 2. The alien containment unit is something that is discovered more in depth as far as the campaign is concerned, and you should play through that before you continue to the Sandbox situation. Megastructures are very simple. There's only 2, a stadium and an Earth History Center. These things just produce a lot of entertainment. Obviously, the stadium is going to produce sports-like entertainment. The Earth History Center is going to produce a lot of entertainment as far as museums are concerned. So these each take a very long time to build and a buttload of nanites to build. As you can see, the stadium requires 40 nanites. The Earth History Center requires 336 nanites. I certainly hope, gamers, that you have learned a little bit from this Aven Colony tutorial. I know it's a lot to take in, but please bear with me. There's a lot to enjoy in this game. This is Frosty Chris, signing off.